Your offer said one number. Your bank account shows another. Where did the rest go before you touched it? We'll follow your money's path from gross to deposit and find every honest stop it makes. Start with two terms. Gross pay is the starting number before withholdings or benefits change anything. Take home, or net pay, is what lands after those steps, not a judgment about spending choices. There are really two waterfalls: deductions before deposit, then the spending flow after it lands in your account. Keep them separate and both make sense. Mix them and everything feels smaller and unfair. Federal income tax withholding uses your Form W-4 and marginal brackets. Each income layer is taxed at its own rate. So your highest bracket doesn't hit every dollar, only the slice that reaches that step. Social Security takes 6.2% of wages until an annual cap. After that cap, this particular slice stops for the year. That cap changes by year. In 2026, it's $184,500. Employers also pay their own share separately. Medicare takes 1.45% of wages with no cap. Very high earners owe an extra 0.9% over set thresholds. We're following the employee side of the waterfall. Employers contribute too, but we're mapping what affects take-home. Some deductions happen pre-tax, meaning they lower the wage used to calculate certain withholdings. Which withholdings they affect depends on the plan. Retirement deferrals and cafeteria plan benefits behave differently. Elective 401k contributions reduce federal taxable income, but they still count for Social Security and Medicare wages. So a 401k can shrink your income tax withholding without changing the FICA slices coming out. Premiums run through a qualified Section 125 cafeteria plan usually reduce both income tax and FICA wages. If a premium isn't under that kind of plan, it may be post-tax for FICA. Employers vary. HSA and many FSA contributions made via cafeteria plan are typically pre-tax for income and FICA. Rules differ by account and employer. Check plan details rather than guessing from stub codes. Some items come out after tax. Union dues, charitable gifts, parking, or court-ordered withholdings like child support. These don't change your taxable wage, but still reduce what hits your account, depending on your situation. Your W-4 settings influence federal withholding. The IRS tax withholding estimator helps align withholding with your expected tax. Education, not financial advice. Aim for clarity. Know which parts reduce taxes and which simply reduce take-home. Your paycheck often has two key wage numbers, one for income tax and another for Social Security and Medicare. Pre-tax benefits can lower both or only one, which is why those totals rarely match exactly. Withholding is calculated per paycheck using formulas from IRS guidance, then repeated across the year. Biweekly versus semi-monthly can feel different, but year-to-date tends to converge when inputs match. Part of what you earn never appears in your deposit. Employer-paid benefits sit outside take-home pay. They matter for total compensation, even though your bank balance never sees those dollars directly. If your year-to-date wages cross the Social Security cap, that 6.2% stops for the rest of the year. Paychecks after that point can look bigger, while Medicare and income tax withholdings still continue. High earners can owe an extra 0.9% additional Medicare tax. Employers start withholding when wages exceed $200,000 for the year. Actual liability depends on filing status and gets reconciled at tax time with the rest of your return. Your deposit reflects layered income tax, Social Security, Medicare, pre-tax benefits that reshape wages, and any after-tax deductions. Once that lands, a second waterfall begins. Housing, transportation, food, debt, and everything else. After the deposit, money flows out to essentials, obligations, and everything else you value. On average, housing, transportation, and food tend to be the biggest everyday outflows for many households. Housing often claims the largest steady slice, rent or mortgage plus required fees. Because it's hard to shrink fast, it sets the tone for what's left for everything else. Getting around is the next regular draw. Transit passes, fuel, maintenance, or car payments. Distance to work and vehicle choices move this slice up or down over months, not days. Food spending splits between groceries and dining. The grocery part is often steadier than dining out. Small routine changes can shift this slice without touching housing or work commitments. Minimum payments on credit cards, student loans, or other debts come out of take-home after taxes. They don't change what was taxed, but they do reduce what you can spend elsewhere until balances fall. A common example people use to read the mix is a 50/30/20 split of needs, wants, and saving. It's a rough gut check, not advice, and people define buckets differently, especially with pre-tax benefits in the picture. Utilities and insurance premiums pull from take-home on a schedule: electricity, heat, water, phone, and required coverages. These bills are predictable, but usage, rates, and renewals can shift the total across seasons and years. Small automatic charges, subscriptions, apps, cloud storage, memberships arrive after tax and rarely announce themselves. Leftovers feel thin when many small commitments stack on top of the big fixed bills already in the flow. Some households treat building a buffer as a scheduled outflow from take-home so money doesn't drift to wants. Whether that approach fits depends on priorities and timing. It's a lens for reading the flow, not a rule. Annual and one-off costs, registrations, gifts, trips, repairs don't show every month, but they still draw from net pay. Spreading them across months explains why an average month must hold room for future bills. Paychecks and due dates rarely line up perfectly, so cash flow swings even when the math works on paper. A simple calendar view shows why one week feels flush and the next feels tight with the same monthly totals. After essentials, obligations, buffers, irregulars, and quiet charges, the remainder is simply what isn't already spoken for. Feeling small isn't failure. It's the structure. The map explains the gap long before preferences enter. After premiums, out-of-pocket health costs still come from take-home, copays, prescriptions, and coinsurance. They're irregular and can spike in one month, then vanish, which makes simple monthly averages feel off. Caregiving, childcare, after-school, or elder care often rivals housing or food and is paid after tax. Schedules, availability, and school calendars move this stream up or down across the year. Some costs exist only because you work: uniforms, tools, certifications, or lunches near the job. They reduce the cash you can use elsewhere, even though they don't change the wages that were taxed. Many households send money outward too: family support, remittances, or community giving after tax. They're choices, but real outflows, which is why a small remainder can be completely normal. Myth: all your income is taxed at your top bracket. Reality: only the dollars inside that layer pay that rate. Your effective rate is the weighted average across brackets after adjustments, generally lower than the top number. Myth: a 401k makes wages tax-free. Elective deferrals reduce federal income tax wages, but still owe Social Security and Medicare. Certain premiums under a qualified cafeteria plan can reduce FICA, but 401k deferrals themselves do not. Myth: health premiums always cut payroll taxes. Only premiums run through a qualified cafeteria plan lower FICA wages. If a premium isn't under that plan, it's often post-tax for FICA, so take-home doesn't rise the way people expect. Myth: no state income tax means a huge raise. Federal income tax and FICA still apply everywhere. Losing a state slice helps only that part. Federal withholding and payroll taxes keep flowing regardless of state. Myth: biweekly. Pay makes you richer than semi-monthly. With the same salary and settings, year-to-date converges. Per-pay math shifts check size and timing, not the annual totals, when inputs and workdays match. Myth: net pay is free money. After it lands, housing, transport, food, debt, and timing claims carve it first. The honest remainder is simply what isn't already spoken for. Structure explains it more than preferences do. Here's the quiet part. Your job can pay more than your paycheck shows through employer-paid benefits you never touch. Those dollars are real compensation, yet they bypass your bank account. so the gap looks like a magic trick. On average, benefits make up roughly 30% of compensation costs, with wages around 70%. Varies by job and plan. So you can earn more than you receive and still feel short, because much of it never hits your account. An offer has 3 layers: salary, what the employer buys for you, and what actually reaches your bank. Only the last one is spendable. The benefits layer is earned, real, and invisible to your deposit. A pay stub is a per-pay snapshot. Total compensation spans the year and includes employer-paid benefits. Open enrollment changes can move pre-tax premiums and your net pay without changing your base salary. Health coverage shows the gap. Premiums are substantial, and workers usually pay a share that varies by plan. If that share is taken under a qualified cafeteria plan, it can lower FICA wages. Otherwise, it may be post-tax. When reading any job, keep 3 columns separate: gross offer, take home after withholdings, and remainder after priorities. Blending columns creates confusion. Separating them turns the missing money into a clearly labeled flow. Punchline: you can earn more than you receive and still feel short because many slices move before you do. 2 stages make the gap: pre-deposit withholdings, then post-deposit commitments. Naming both makes the math feel honest. Takeaway you can repeat: money moves through 2 stages, so the gap is structure, not a mystery. Education, not financial advice. If this helped, share it with the next person puzzled by their first paycheck.